Morning everybody, and welcome to the first video of 2019. Now, I don't know about you, but every time a year rolls around, there's this psychological kind of, click that really sets me back a bit, ironically enough, because there's so many great ideas bubbling up in my head, and it can be kind of hard to sort them all out. I automatically take an idea and just sort of zoom it all the way to the potential finish line, which can be really great and advantageous. I kind of can see where I want to start to march towards, but then actually putting one foot in front of the other is always a challenge. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I started Mornings with Mark, was to kind of get my head on straight each day. It would give me the ability to talk to you, to engage with the audience, but also to talk about a particular topic that I may want to develop into something else, maybe a more polished video, maybe a blog post, maybe a talk, maybe it was a stepping stone for a larger concept. So, at the start of each year, I've got this challenge. Now, the direct corollary here is obviously you're probably facing challenges like this as well. There's a real push and a real pressure around the new year to set resolutions, to set new goals, to try to start sweeping changes. But I see this all the time with privacy and security teams within organizations specifically, where they try to go, okay, we're going to roll out something to everybody and it's going to go like that. That's not the reality. You need to look at that big goal and say, yes, we want to get something like two-factor authentication. So that's where you log in with your username and password, as well as maybe a push code to your mobile device or to a hardware token to add that additional layer of security. That's a great thing, multi-factor authentication. And to roll it out to your entire organization is a wonderful thing. But you can't start there. You can't say, I want to start at 100%. You've got to take logical groups. So you go, hey, maybe we'll take our high profile or high value assets, and we're going to make sure that people use multi-factor authentication when they're logging in there. So you may go and say, we're going to get the C-suite, we're going to get the board, we're going to get all the people who are in charge of our core infrastructure. So you start to make, you have a big view and you make these little steps towards it. So that's the process I'm in the middle of right now. So you may notice this is a bit of a different look. I switched up the lens. I switched up actually the entire camera. I'm shooting on an M50 right now from Canon as opposed to my normal Panasonic Lumix. I'm trying something different out. I got a few ideas around where I want to go with content this year because I looked at all my data from 2018 and all the great engagement, all the great conversations I had with you folks, and I'm trying to figure out what it would make sense to sort of partition off into its own sort of sub-brand or sub-show. What do I keep going with Mornings with Mark here? What do I do online? What do I do for my speaking engagements this year? So right now, everything's sort of up in the air. And for me personally, I always find that extremely stressful. It's very easy for me to sort of basically lose myself trying to figure out all this amazing stuff that's possible. So now I need to take my own advice and actually map out, okay, where do I want to be at the end of 2019 and what are the baby steps to get there? So what will Mornings with Mark turn into? Right now my gut feeling is that Mornings with Mark will be a little less often. So instead of 4 to 5 times a week, it'll maybe be 2 to 3 because there's a set of content that I want to roll off into its own podcast and video series. And that's essentially stuff that I talk about to a broader audience, to a more general audience. It's very similar to the radio column I do for CBC Ottawa Morning here in Ottawa, obviously, where I talk about sort of general technologies and the impact it has on you, the user, and on us in our community. So I think that kind of content, instead of being blended in with Mornings with Mark, I think that would be great on its own sort of playlist here on YouTube and on its own podcast, because that lets a little more broad audience consume that content and not get confused by some of the things I talk about here when I'm talking about, like, hey, when you're rolling out security strategies in your organization. So that would allow me to take Mornings with Mark and be a little more specific, targeted towards people who are building within their organizations, security folks within their organizations, and then more on the technology back end side. So still some ideas I'm bouncing around, but of course it's 2019. We're already into the second week of it. So I'm on top of that sort of, there's so many options and potential and sort of my own expectations, I'm also under my own pressure for timelines, which is kind of ridiculous. This is all self-imposed, but I'm sure a lot of you are feeling as well. So that's why I wanted to talk about it on the show today. What do you think? What are your plans for 2019? Share it with me. I'll share it out with the audience. If you've got something that you want to promote or push around, if you're trying a new idea, obviously on a personal side only, we're not looking for ads or anything here. I just, like, if you're doing a vlog like this, if you're making a new push on social media, share it with me. I'll share it out with everybody else because we can learn from each other and see what's interesting and what pays off. In the meanwhile, let me know what you think about where I'm potentially heading with Mornings with Mark, where I'm looking off for that other vlog series or video series and podcast. Anything else. Everything's up in the air for me right now, which is wonderful and terrifying. I hope you're set up for a fantastic day. As always, let's continue this discussion online at MarkNCA on most social media networks. For those of you in the vlogs, in the comments down below, and as always by email, me at markn.ca. I do read everything that is sent my way, even if it takes me a while sometimes to reply. That is a benefit of having such a fantastic and interactive audience, but I know it's a little challenge on your side when you write something and you want to see a comment back or a reply back. I will get to them, I promise. Have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the show next time.